I'm Emily Booth. I'm Executive Editor of the Architectural Review, and today we were judging AR schools. We were looking for the best place of learning in the world in the past 5 years, and our judging panel included Sam Jacob of Sam Jacob Studio, Deyan Sudjic, Director of the Design Museum, and Sadie Morgan, who's the founder of DRMM.
Education is such a big subject. It means everything from a primary school to a university research building. You can't say this is one building type.
One of the strange things that seems to have come to light is actually some of the more modest, smaller and often more challenged projects in terms of their context, in terms of their budget, that actually show the most imagination.
In terms of global trend, I don't think I actually saw one. And it took some time to really understand that perhaps I didn't feel like there was a general move towards anything.
After discussion, the 3 points of debate that the judges wanted to focus on were change, how these buildings could change education and the experience of students for the better. Also, they talked about the plan and the need for an intelligent plan, the need for flexible space relevant to the needs of the pupils. And they also talked about a rounded experience. So a school that was more than the sum of its parts, that was more than expert at one specific thing.
The winner, I think, is a very beautiful project. It's a project that you wouldn't miss because as you walk past it, it glows from the streetscape. But what's so wonderful about that project is that each moment in time, if you like, the collection of the sum of those parts creates something that's really very, very wonderful. They've looked at a narrative, a journey of the school child. They've looked at, how do the spaces change to engage with the type of education they're receiving at that time. And I think I found that level of detail and that level of critical thinking really impressive.
It's a wonderful piece of embroidery, I think, somewhere that feels a good place to learn and go. It's giving young people the sense that education matters.
Now, it's a project which is not a new school, it's a refurbishment or addition to a Victorian school in suburban England. And these interventions have really transformed what is a kind of old idea of a school and what education is into something which feels incredibly contemporary, incredibly kind of liberating.
So the RunnerUp, which was the Braamcamp school, was, I think, very, very interesting in terms of its restraint, with moments of delight. So you'd move through the school and then up would pop a hugely generous double height space or an incredibly vivid coloured wall, but also spaces that really had delight and I think would sort of supercharge the students.
What's happened is that a set of pavilions didn't really hang together, and so the new work is a rather beautiful piece of austere concrete with strong colour in it, knitting together the older pavilions to make one school rather than a series of episodes.
But what we also saw in it was a certain generosity in its spatial arrangement, the social areas which are given over to the students, but also the kind of quality of those spaces as well. So being able to retain that kind of generosity of social spirit right to the heart of the project, I think is really commendable.
I think the commended school was just delightful and it was absolutely charming. It had an absolute delicacy to the material choice and the reflectivity that material gave. It was it felt almost ephemeral. You could hardly feel like you could touch it. And you could see that the children responded to it in that very way. It had a very magical quality to it.
So the work here, designed by a Hong Kong practice, is a beautiful piece of contextualism, a sculptural project beautifully executed in brick and tile.
What we really enjoyed about the Mulan project was the real inventiveness in the use of materials and in the qualities of space which the design created, full of imagination, full of joy.
It was an interesting, provocative debate. It was quite a lengthy debate, but the winner and the standout projects were arrived at by consensus, and the judges were really passionate about what they thought they were able to achieve.